So welcome everybody. I'm Karina. I'm calling today with a lot of joy to be here and share space with you all. A visual description of myself is that I am a white, bald, uh, kind of tie-dye wearing um, woman in the screen, and I have these glasses that are supposed to help the blue lights. Today, we're going to be jumping into a practice space that really is going to continue what we started together in the care circle with Yoo-Jin earlier. In this practice space, we're going to be deepening into an embodied exploration of our care lineages. We're going to be doing that with our moon signs as our guide. They're really going to help us think through our care styles. We'll harness a range of creative prompts and activities to prototype care ecosystems based on the gifts, the intuitions, and the lived experiences we each have to offer. As we present realities, exploitative and oppressive systems, isolation and alienation, our own wounds, and the future possibilities, we understand that community is something that must be built. We remember care as something we do intentionally and with loving discipline. Join us in dreaming new worlds and ways of being that we can enact right now while putting down seeds of care that may only bloom beyond our own lifetimes. As mentioned a little earlier, or when you registered, for today's gathering, we ask that you have some creative making materials available. So if accessible to you, things like paper, markers, pens, and any additional supplies that might bring you joy. I don't know, maybe you like sticker or glitter. Go ahead and bring that. We'll also have options to create and participate digitally. So if none of that sounds good and you'd rather just interact with the screen and use the device, you can also participate and create that way. For today, we're just gonna have a moment to go over the flow. And right now we're in the introductions, talking about why we're gathering and what we're here today to do. We're going to be checking in just a moment in some breakout rooms. Right now we're doing a larger group check-in in the chat. From there, we're going to be spending majority of our time today with Yoo-Jin. Yoo-Jin's going to be leading us through astrology as a portal. And we're going to be in a space of practice for that. This is where you're going to want to have your art materials available. After that, we'll have a break. And then we're going to have a conversation about what we sort of did together today and relate it back to our work around design justice. So that's going to be our practice-based conversation. From there, we're going to have final announcements and just some things to share. And then we're going to head on out of here. For today's gathering, we have various access supports for you all, wanting to uplift those and just name them. So today we have chat support, and we have our slide deck in that chat. We also have that slide deck, which is available again later. So if for whatever reason you want to come back to today, look back on what we did, that's the way that you can kind of continue to participate and follow along with the recording. We also will have ASL interpretation. The folks that we have today are Marcy Murphy, and right now Terry Hayes is on screen. You can pin them at any time on your screen. And during breakout room activities, we'll be creating a group that includes interpretation. We'll also be having breakout rooms and breaks. And so that's just a space where you are able to interact at a smaller level, more personally with folks, and also just space for your bodies to take a break as we gather. We're also going to be having live transcription. This has been turned on through Zoom, and you can enable this at the bottom of your own screen. Today, we're also having emotional support, and Dre Miller is going to be with us today. Emotional support is really something we'll go a little bit more into in a moment, but for now, this is one of the supports we have. And then we also just want you to know that part of what we hold this space with is the idea that we want you to show up as you are. So come as you are to this space and feel free to, make adjustments and allow yourself to show up in the best way possible. So if you need the camera off to feel comfortable, have the camera off. If you need to move around or, make some adjustments after we begin, go ahead and do everything that feels good for you to arrive and be here. If this is your first time with us, this is the DJN Care Pod. So, the Design Justice Network Care Pod is a soft and regenerative space for dreaming and designing liberatory cultures of care. Through these virtual gatherings, one that you're part of today, and online and offline togetherness, we experiment with how the lineages of care and healing justice might shape the way we design more just and community led worlds. Today, we're holding space as a team. I myself am Karina. Denise Shantae is also here. And unfortunately, Jody is out sick today. So we will be holding space without Jody and sending care. And this is where I'm bringing back up Dre Miller. So this is an emotional support person we have available today. Emotional support is really a space where we're able to just allow you to have some time and support one-on-one. So I'm going to let Dre speak a little more about that.
Yeah, and I'll do my visual description. I'm white-bodied, femme-presenting, non-binary person, brown, shoulder-length hair with some different things, bookshelves behind me, and I have a black hoodie on with some writing on it and big purple glasses. Yeah, so emotional support is here available, just compassionate one-to-one, in case there's things that come up during doing this work. Sometimes it can kind of unearth some things that need to be processed. So I'm here to help process some of those things.
Thank you, Dre. And next up, we have our tech support. This is Victoria, and she has been supporting us since we've started these series. So big thank you for all the tech support that is happening behind the scenes and all the navigation that goes on to make these gatherings flow smooth. And today, our esteemed guest practitioner, Yoo-Jin Kang, is here with us. And so we'll be having space to introduce Yoo-Jin a little bit more in depth later. But for now, just know that Yoo-Jin is going to be holding part 2. So if you were here before, again, it's astrology as a portal to prototyping care ecosystems. And for our grounding moment today, just wanting to spend a minute breathing before we head in and check in with each other. Taking a minute, if you're able to just get comfortable wherever you are. And rather than lead you at any sort of pace, just going to ask you to find your own space, find your own breath, and take 3 breaths with intention. As you're breathing, try to notice if you can feel yourself filling with air. Try to see in the exhale if you can feel yourself releasing. All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it along to Denise Shante for check ins.
Thank you so much, Karina. Hey everyone, my name is Denise Shante. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a Black femme with natural hair. I'm wearing glasses and a patterned top. Behind me are some photos and plants hanging. I'm also wearing earrings. For our check-in, this first activity is actually going to lead us into some smaller breakout rooms. We've been returning to these principles within design justice, specifically for this particular section. The one is on principle number 1. And it says, we use design to sustain, heal, and empower our communities, as well as to seek liberation from exploitative and oppressive systems. The check-in question that we're holding is, who or what makes it more possible for you to sustain your practice in the world? And when you're thinking about this, the invitation is to consider people, but also plants and energies and rituals and memories, and expand beyond maybe what we would normally consider being a part of our care ecosystems. Victoria has set up some breakout rooms for us. I see some of you all have already indicated if you want to stay in the quiet room, and that's great. And we will have about 10 minutes in this space with 2 people, and then we'll come back.
Welcome back, everyone. And I think folks are still coming in, so I'm just going to give a moment for folks to arrive. I hope that you all had a sweet check-in or some nice space for yourself before we head into our time together. And again, my name's Karina. Bald white head with glasses. I am wearing a tie-dye hoodie, and today I have the honor of introducing Yoo-Jin Kang, who is our guest practitioner. So Yoo-Jin Kang is a healing justice practitioner with roots in trauma-informed yoga, mindfulness-based healing modalities, astrology, and in Reiki. Her day work includes executive coaching, anti-racist consulting practice, and program creation and facilitation. Yoo-Jin blends her experience in violence prevention, trauma healing, and collective liberation practices to center the healing of those most impacted, with a special focus on BIPOC women in workplaces and communities. Yoo-Jin is based in the Washington, D.C. area and enjoys being by water, rewatching her favorite Studio Ghibli films, good one, and also roller skating during her free time. So passing it along to Yoo-Jin. Thank you all for the opening today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your busy schedules on a Saturday, no less, to spend time with our collective and with yourself. So thank you, Jay, for putting the Moon Signs workbook in the chat. If you weren't able to join us last time, this was one of the resources that I shared for part 1. And it's just a companion for the work that we'll do today. And if you're able to look through the recording from last time, I highly encourage it. That's where a lot of the really more content came. Today is our practice space. I'm very, very excited. We'll be doing a quick review of some of the core concepts of what we talked about last time, which was our moon signs and how it connects to our care styles, how we like to be cared for, how we like to express care, our relationship to giving and receiving care, and some more themes around shadows and light. So I highly encourage you to look through the workbook, and we'll look through a few pages together as well. We did a land acknowledgement at the beginning. I reside on the Coach Tank and Piscataway land, otherwise known as Maryland. Brief introduction to who I am. I think it's important in any facilitation to name where I learn from and the types of lenses I bring to the work, since that will impact how we do our work today. So in terms of astrology, I have a lot of different teachers and people who have fostered this love for astrology in me, one including my mother. I also forgot to put one of my friends in 5th grade who brought a huge book of astrology and drew our signs on our hand. I think that was one of my first exposures to astrology was when I was 10. My other teachers include Channing Nicholas, Molly McCord, Lee Sin Wong, Jessica Liniato, Jan Spiller, and Dr. Alana Cavalia. My approach to both astrology and the type of work that I do is holistic, looking at the whole person, what we bring in our totality, being mindful of structural oppression, systemic oppression that impacts us all. And so bringing a healing, justice, and collective liberation framework to the work that we're doing, and utilizing astrology as a tool for self-knowing and community building, and ultimately working towards liberation from oppressive systems, which is deeply aligned with design justice principle 1. And a little bit about myself is that I'm a Cancer sun, Taurus moon, and Libra rising. Feel free to let me know what your signs are if you want to share the chat. Oh, so great. I know I did this last time, so let's do a brief check-in get to know one another. I'd love to know, if you'd like, you can share your name and your familiarity with astrology. 1 being little to no knowledge, maybe a newbie, 5 being pretty advanced. And I'd also love to know 1 word that describes how you're arriving today. I'll give a few moments for your check-ins.
Yoo-Jin, I'm just gonna pause you for a sec. Our interpreters aren't on camera, and so we just need someone to come on camera so we can see the interpretation.
That was Marcy. My camera was off. I was working, but couldn't see me. I apologize, everyone.
Yeah.
No worries, Marcy. So great to have you. Okay, I'm just seeing some of the check-ins in our chat. Great. Looks like we have a range of knowledge in the room. Some of us are newer. Great. Loving some of these shares. Also, hello, fellow. If there are other moons, welcome. We'll go into an overview of all of our moon signs in just a second as well. Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for dropping in for just a moment. So let's do a review of what we covered last time. Just a quick spark notes. So for framing, especially for some of us who are newer to astrology, astrology in my work is a tool for understanding ourselves more deeply, learning more about our potential natural inclinations and habits and personality traits, our talents, and using them toward a broader collectively minded end. So not only just utilizing astrology as a tool for self-knowledge and self-transformation, which is powerful and important, but also how can my own self-knowledge growth and transformation contribute to a larger collective of healing and being in right relationship with others. Astrology is a fluid tool, and it's an invitation to go inward. I don't use it as a prescriptive tool, so it's not meant to be a tool that creates single stories about people and stereotypes about people, which sometimes we can see it happening in that way. No two signs are exactly alike. So in that way, I encourage you to use astrology through the lens of curiosity and seeing what resonates for you and just releasing whatever doesn't. And always important to know, so a birth chart is your chart at the exact moment you were born, where all of the stars and planets were at the exact moment you were born. And all 12 signs are in your birth chart somewhere. Some are more prominent and some are a little less prominent. So sometimes we see memes of, oh, I don't like this sign, I don't like this sign, but just remember, we have every sign in our chart. Yes. I forgot to say, please feel free to utilize the chat. You can message me directly or message just publicly in the chat or to one of our co-leads today if you have any questions or you'd like to contribute in any way. This is a collective space. I'd love to hear from you. Great. If you haven't already, well, it sounds like a lot of you actually did just from the check-in. So just in case for folks maybe who are joining us asynchronously, this is also in the workbook on page 4. This is one of a few tools to learn about how you can look up your birth chart and look at your moon sign. So a brief overview of the moon sign. Why I'm focusing on the moon sign as it relates to care is that the moon sign, one in your birth chart, is the exact placement of the moon at the exact day that you were born. So for some people, the moon sign feels more resonant for them than maybe their sun sign, which they might share with a lot of people who were born on that exact day. And so the moon sign, it shares about our physical and emotional needs. So our emotions, our actual physical body, how it likes to be cared for, how it likes to move, how it likes to be nourished. We can talk about our cravings. And similar to the metaphor I brought up last session about our moon, is that sometimes it can also be about our shadows. As we know, the moon is not always full and bright. In fact, most of the time it's in some type of phase that involves a shadow. And so our moon signs give us some insight into what is in our shadows. So that might be triggers, past childhood experiences, things that we keep hidden, our vices, our habits, our most inner thoughts. And of course, our relationship to nurturing in that way and being nurtured. And also traditionally the moon sign is connected to a core relationship to a parent or a main caregiver in your life. So in short, moon sign, the emotions, core of our being, our deeper emotional needs and physical needs, and learning more about what we need to feel secure and seen. We also talked about our relationship to care. In your workbook, you'll find a questionnaire that gives you some prompts to reflect on what is my relationship to giving care and what is my relationship to receiving care. So here's some examples that we talked about last time around what giving care can look like. Giving care can look like quality time, listening actively without trying to fix something, cooking a meal, offering emotional support. On the other hand, sometimes care really does look like tangible help, acts of service, advice, helping with chores, a ride to and from the airport, I think is a deep act of care. I think anyone who picks me up from the airport, that's a true act of care because I know that's one of the least fun things to do for someone, I think. Sending encouraging messages, words of affirmation, just sharing, oh, this is a gift I see in you. I really love our friendship. Can be a gift and an act of care, spending quality time and helping in times of illness and crisis and hardship. We talked about the definition of care, the actual kind of Webster dictionary definition of care last time, and how many definitions of care are associated with something going wrong. So care, like medical care or care in response to crisis and hardship. And what I invite us to do in our exploration today, particularly in our in our practice space is to expand and be open to expanding your definition of care, and that not always being responding to something wrong, but also can be in line with cultivating the type of love and world we want to see. In the contrast, we talked about what receiving care can look like. Now, I know for me, this one was harder. It's still harder for me to practice receiving care. First, in order to receive, it's important that I'm connected to my needs and what I want. So expressing my needs is a huge way that I can receive care, because then I can express, hey, this is what I need. Can you help me with that? Accepting help, receiving compliments. How many of us receive a compliment and the first thing we do is, oh, no, might deny it. We might share it. Oh, well, I couldn't have done it without so and so. And that's not to say we shouldn't express gratitude or be in a collective mind, but sometimes that can be a behavior that calls to a larger feeling of, I don't feel deserving of praise, or I don't feel deserving of acknowledgement. I know it has been for me. Sharing your feelings can be a way of receiving care. Taking time for your own self-care, even in just small micro ways, receiving emotional support, whether that's with loved ones, a therapist, a spiritual leader, and letting others in is one of the biggest ways that we learn to receive care, allowing people to be there for you, trusting people with your vulnerabilities when you feel more tender, when you're maybe in your shadow, is a big act of receiving care. If you haven't already, I encourage you to look at the workbook and look at the questionnaire and just see what comes up for you in terms of your relationship to giving and receiving care. For many of us, especially in our last discussion, we talked about, and I know I resonate with this deeply, I'm more comfortable giving care sometimes than receiving care. Just checking the chat to see if there's any messages. So let's go into the moon sign care archetypes together, and feel free to ask any questions as I go through. We'll start with the water signs. We have Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces as the water signs. The care style for a Cancer moon is emotional support. So there's so much more to say about every sign, but right now we're just going to go through the quick highlights for each sign. And know that if you're ever interested in learning about this more deeply, there's a lot of pathways for information. And of course, perhaps you'd be interested in a deeper birth chart reading. But here we'll do brief check-ins for each care style. So Cancer moon, care style being emotional support. So being connected in a way of being deeply present with emotions, with intuition, nurturing, emotional nurturing. So care might involve comforting gestures, listening to people, a shoulder to cry on, home cooked meals, a lot of like quality one-on-one time is the care style of an emotion of a Cancer moon. And the care style can be both the ways that the moon likes to receive care and also likes to give care. For Scorpio moons, deep emotional connection. So Scorpio is a sign that is connected to, right, the scorpion, the stinger, really getting to the core root of what is happening. So the deep emotional connection shows up in valuing real, raw conversations. Let's cut the fluff and let's talk about what's real today. This can be seen as intense, which is not a negative trait in my book. Deep emotional connection, deep sharing. It might involve sharing secrets, exploring your passions, and really going for what is important in your life, or engaging in some type of transformative experience where you or someone you love together can experience something real and raw together. Pisces moon, compassion and creativity. Pisces is the two fish swimming around one another. Pisces moons absolutely connected to the arts. So creativity is a big component of maybe processing something that's happening for you. Maybe it's art collaging, maybe it's journaling, music, listening to certain songs to help process. Care can include engaging in artistic activities together or by yourself, providing emotional support, being, again, someone that people can talk to without judgment, or simply being present. So there's some themes that kind of flow through each water sign, but then you'll notice there are distinct differences as well. Okay, let's go into the earth signs. So we have Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Taurus, the care style is sensual and comforting. Taurus is the bull. It's a moon that really seeks comfort, routine, and things that are connected to the senses. Maybe it's a nice candle, your favorite meal, something like very like tactile, like a blanket, something that feels very in your space and within reach, like physical reach. It's connected to Taurus. Care for a Taurus moon might involve, again, like your favorite meal being cooked at home, a spa day, something that connects to senses is a big component of Taurus moon. I can say that resonates for me as a Taurus moon. Virgo moon, we have practical help and organization as a care language. Virgo, I probably said this last time, just my favorite Virgo, right? Beyonce. Just really loves a system, loves getting things done, loves when things are reliable, practical, and I don't have to worry about, hey, do I need to put a reminder about this? Like proactive acts of service is a big component of a Virgo moon feeling cared for. And also potentially a way that Virgo moons care for others is kind of being aware of, oh, well, what could be tactical and helpful right now for someone? Maybe I'll bring in the trash can without being asked to. Maybe I'll do the dishes. So Virgo moons feel cared for when things are organized, efficient, and providing practical help. Next, we have our Capricorn moons, stability and achievement. So Capricorn moon, similarly, earth signs are associated with water. You saw a theme maybe of like emotionality and connecting one-on-one interpersonal relationships. With the earth signs, we see similar to the earth element, things that feel grounded, tangible, present, very in the moment helping. So Capricorn moon is around stability and achievement. So Capricorn moons, this might look like involve setting goals together, having tactical like next steps, a to-do list of, okay, this is your issue 1, 2, and 3. This is the way that I would like to move forward in my issue, or this is the way I think you should move forward in your issue. Capricorn is associated also with getting things done really well, helping with career ambitions, providing a sense of security. Maybe you'll go to a money workshop together and work through potential money wounds or things connected to scarcity mindset together. Maybe you'll go to a workshop that helps you learn tangible skills. Right, so next we have the air signs. That's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Gemini, the twins, care style, mental stimulation, connecting, especially verbally. So Gemini moons value variety as well. So being able to engage in witty and intellectual conversations, having a range of things that you talk about or do together, sharing interesting ideas, sharing interesting books. That's one way that Gemini moons like to process is, oh, what can I read or engage with to learn about this more? What you'll notice about the air signs is there's first an intellectual component of understanding. So whereas water signs might first have a feelings component first, air signs will lead with, what do I think about that? How am I processing this in my mind? Libra moon, Libra's the scales, really focused on harmony and beauty and getting along. So seeking balance and beauty, care can involve things like going to a museum, having art in your space that's really beautiful to you, creating art together, engaging in activities that are connected to harmony and peace. So Libra is also a sign that's connected to justice. So being connected to a cause larger than yourself is an important way of feeling cared for and caring for others. We have Aquarius moons as our final air sign. Aquarius moon, the care style is intellectual connection. Aquarius, it's confusing in some ways because the symbol for Aquarius is the water bearer, but it's an air sign. So already I think that already shows some of the interesting kind of tensions with this sign. In terms of Aquarius moons really enjoy deep intellectual thought and connection and individuality. Aquarius is a sign that really likes to think and push past what we've always done. And so what that might look like in a care style is engaging in healthy debate. Like, why do you think about it that way? Why do I think about it that way? Going to actual debates or talks where you're learning about things that are a bit either like faux pas or a bit ahead of its time or things that could challenge systemic norms, unconventional ideas, supporting unique pursuits. You might have unique hobbies that you really enjoy. A lot of different ways that this moon sign can show up. So as you're learning about the different moon signs, I want you to also think about, I wonder how my care style may interact with, complement, or be in tension with another person's care style, right? Especially when we don't talk about how we like to be cared for, right? The first step in learning about how to care for myself is knowing what my needs are and how I like to be cared for. And then the next step is learning how to express that need and requests with people who we are in community with. So you might notice, if I'm leading with emotions, like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about our feelings. But I'm someone who actually feels most grounded and cared for. If you help me with an act of service, like I actually don't need to talk about my feelings. I need you to help me cook dinner and clean my house. You can see how there could be tension and miscommunication. And I wonder if that resonates with folks in the room. Okay, let's shift to fire signs. Fire signs, we have Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Fire signs as an element are known for being very action-oriented and active and more spontaneous than the other signs. So we have Aries moon, care style is active and exciting. Aries, the ram, thrives on excitement, getting things started. Like, let's go try that. Physical activity, so maybe dancing, going to work out together. They appreciate care that involves those elements of spontaneous adventures together, sports, energetic outings. So that could be a party, could be dancing, whatever that looks like for the particular person. We have Leo moon, which is around recognition and affection. Leo moons appreciate recognition, and I think sometimes there could be a judgment around this, but what's important to know is that Leo as a sign, it's the lion, the planet ruler is the sun. It's very bright and shining, right? And one of the greatest gifts from Leo moons is that they also do a great job of recognizing others. So care for them can include just a small word of affirmation, a compliment. Thank you for doing that for me. That really meant a lot. Public display of appreciation. Maybe it's a hug, maybe it's a word, maybe it's a card, taking them out to a favorite restaurant and going somewhere that feels special is one of the components of a Leo moon care style. Recognizing and being recognized. Finally, we have Sagittarius moon. So Sagittarius, the care style is adventure and exploration. So this could look like going physically somewhere together, even if it's like a car ride, just drive around, put our music on and talk. It could be visiting somewhere new together that you haven't been to, going to a new restaurant. Sagittarius is a sign that's also known for travel, but also teaching. So learning through intellectually engaging by being physically in the world, though. So that's a little different than some of the air signs where they learn through like processing and books and reading. Sagittarius is a sign that really enjoys kind of experiencing, and that's part of the learning. So that can look like planning trips, engaging in outdoor activities, exploring new cultures, new ideas, learning something new. Okay, do we have any questions, reflections so far from our group? Just take a pause here. Okay, I trust that you will let me know. Great. So thanks for hanging in for that quick overview. Let me just check. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Maybe feeling more resonance, yeah, of the sun sign and moon sign. That's completely fine because our birth charts are just an amalgamation of all of our signs together. So you might resonate more with another component of your chart. That's still really great. Beautiful. So I'm going to invite you to do now is we're going to do, this is our practice part. So now you've learned about your moon signs, other people's moon signs, care styles. Maybe you've already reflected on your relationship to giving and receiving care. And this is a core component of doing liberation work and being in deep community with people. Is I can't show up for you if I don't show up for myself and if I don't understand the blocks and barriers I have to receiving care. We need one another to be here. Always have, always will. And so our first exercise in our practice space is a writing reflection. So if you don't already, go ahead and get your materials for writing. This might be your phone, it could be the computer, a journal. We're going to give a few minutes for you to get whatever you need. And part one is going to be looking to our past, where we've learned from our lineages, and reflecting on what we're calling your care lineage. It's essentially the people, places, animals, practices that have taught you about how to give and receive care. So your care role models. This isn't always a person. For me, taking care of animals, taking care of dogs has been a huge component of learning how to give and receive care. Being around babies has been a huge component of how I've learned to give and receive care. So once you have your materials, I'm going to give you, let's say, 8 minutes. I'll put some music on. And feel free to go off camera, whatever you need to do. Here, I'm seeing some shares in the chat. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to share some music. If the music doesn't resonate for you, feel free to mute me, and let's come back in 8 minutes together. About 2 more minutes till we come back. Great. So wherever you are, feel free to wrap up if you're writing or drawing something in response to the prompt. Before we move forward, would anyone like to share what came up for them? You can unmute or share with us in the chat. What came up for you in thinking about your care lineage? Who, what, where did you learn to give and receive care? I'm just giving a few moments because I know it can take time to type if anyone is sharing. Okay. So the next part of our practice space is actually art making. Oh, thank you for the share. Yeah, reflecting on our lineages. Beautiful. Right. I forgot to mention in the beginning, if you okay with me sharing verbally some of the shares that you were sharing in the chat, could you just put read like this? It just lets me know that's okay if I read some of your gems of wisdom. Okay, beautiful. So seeing some beautiful share around learning about the different types of care, different lessons about care, lineage, so powerful. Oh, yes. Yes, please. Is it Dana? Mhm.
Yes, so I wanted to share that for me, it's been a reflection around nature. Basically, I realize I feel cared and I give care to plants when I'm with them, watering, like fertilizing, just spending time in the nature and in touch with plants. It's something I learned from my mom and my family lineage, the women in my family, and helps me to connect with the moon idea of how feeling warmth and connection with earth is kind of the style of care I have in me.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. There's so much I've learned from plants too, especially the plants that don't bloom as regularly. I used to have these wild African violets and they would come back in the winter, but most of the time they were not present. So it would look like there's nothing there. Uh, and it taught me. I was like, okay, keep watering, keep talking to this plant, believe that it will come back again, and it always did. Great. Beautiful. Any other shares people would like to voice or type in our chat? Taking care of plants also helped me understand my relationship to giving care. There were so many plants I killed because I overgave, overwatered. I had an anxious attachment to the plant. It was like, just in case, let me water you again. And for other green thumbs in the room, that's one of the quickest ways to not keep a plant alive. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, I'm very excited. So part 1A of our prompt today is actually we're going to create art around this question around your care lineages. So we're going to create 2 collages today. One will be around what you just reflected on in your writing, around who, what, where you learned care. And if we could just have, there's many options. One is that you have a physical materials and you'll create it on your own in your own space. But in case you would like to create a collage digitally, which is what I did, feel free to use this template. We have a separate Google Slides for you. And if you do create it here, we would love to go through the different collages at the very end and just kind of witness each other's work. So if you click that, you can see an example of my collage. I just split it half. Just look at the left half for now. And the invitation is to create a collage, whatever that means for you. If it's digital, you could put song links in there. I put moving pictures in there, stickers. If you're creating a collage physically, it's really up to you. Use whatever materials you have to create a visual of your care lineages and where you've learned care. We'll have some spaciousness for this. So let's start off with 12 minutes and then I'll check in with people if we need some more time. Are there any questions so far? And again, if you do end up using the same slides where I have mine, you're also letting us know that it's okay if I show your collage at the end too. And we'll just stay in the large groups for this, and I'll put on music again and keep time. Beautiful. Okay, back to my lo-fi. I'm taking requests if people have song requests. But otherwise, I'm gonna play lo-fi. I'll go back to the prompt. How about that? So you can look at it again. Okay. So I'll have 12 minutes starting now. We have about 6 minutes left before we return back. Okay, we have about a minute left. Of course, you can keep working on this as we continue our time together and on your own time as well. Just taking a minute to wrap up wherever you are. We have a minute. Okay, great. Wherever you are, I'll just invite you to pause. Promise you'll have another opportunity to look at this again. So what we're going to shift into is actually part 2 of our writing and collaging, and then we'll come together as a group and take some shares from our group. So returning back to your writing vehicles, maybe it's a journal, maybe it's paper, maybe it's your phone. I would love to shift us into a different lens. So right now, just now, we did our care lineages, thinking about our past, how did we learn? And this is actually a page from your workbook, close to the end. I can't remember exactly what page, about visioning. So let's think together. Imagine a world and day-to-day life where you and or your community are cared for beyond your wildest dreams. So you maybe have some insights from your astrological chart and just things that you have learned as a culmination of your own wisdom of what you know works for you and what doesn't. And I would love for you to first journal and reflect on what could that look like. And feel free to be specific. These could be tangible things. Everyone has access to the healthcare that they need. Money doesn't exist anymore. Whatever it is that feels juicy and abundant and nourishing, care for you. Could be, we have 24-hour bookstores that have cats in them and free croissants for everyone. That's what I want. But whatever tactical things that you want, as well as big vision things, nothing is too small or big in your reflection. So I'll give you 8 minutes for that. I'll do 7 minutes actually, just to make sure we have time for your collaging. So I'll start that now. We have about a minute left. Just wrapping up with your reflection. Okay, wherever you are, just finding a natural pause. You might guess that our next part 2 of this is to create a collage responding to this prompt. But before we do that, would anyone like to share what came up for you in this writing reflection around looking to our future? What does vision and care, what could vision and care look like in the world? In your world, our world? Let's make sure that you have time to create some collages around this prompt. I'll keep us moving forward. Feel free to share in the chat and let me know if I can share verbally some of your reflections. So I'm gonna actually just stop my screen share so I can see. I'm loving the shares in the chat. So now I invite you to create a collage responding to the prompt that we just spoke about. If you're using the digital creation space, I just for the visual for you all split my screen, but I can't remember if I already said this. Feel free to take up a whole slide. You can take up multiple, honestly. This is an abundant space. But for this next collage, we are collaging around what, who, where, what is coming up for you in terms of a future where you and everyone's needs are cared for beyond your wildest dreams. I will give you 10 minutes. Starting now. We have about 5 minutes. So wrapping up from your beautiful creation. So with the last 5 minutes of our time, I would love to first do a gallery walk of the collages, the digital collages that we have in our collective slide deck. If you can see the slide deck, there's an option for speaker notes. I just typed in mine that I'm open to your feedback. So if you are also open to other people's responses and reactions to what you've created, feel free to write that under the speaker notes, and then we can know if we can just share how your art is landing with us. For right now, I'm going to first share our digital slides, our collages together, and then if anyone wants to share a physical collage or share outside of that space, please let me or anyone know. Give me a second. I'm just going to take a few minutes on each, few seconds on each slide. Let's witness our art that we created today. This is mine. Let me stop my sound share. Yeah, wow. I believe this is our last one. It was really quick, so feel free to look as long as you want at any of them. You have the link. So beautiful to witness your art. Would anyone like to share either something that we didn't see in our digital slide deck? Maybe you have something physical you'd like to share with us, or share a little bit about what you created? And if you'd like to share, if you created something physically and you'd like to share in our collective digital slide deck, maybe you'll take a picture of what you created, put it in there. I welcome you to do that.
I'll share a little preview of my physical one. Spotlight myself real quick. Still a work in progress. But started with this background art image. So I'm a Libra moon, so beauty, harmony. I was thinking about the way that the women in my family specifically have like taught me the care that comes from adornment, and not just like from a fashion perspective, but like what it means to adorn our homes, our physical spaces, the places that hold containers of like protection, safety, and all of these things. And so art is also a part of that. And so having that imagery and some flowers and oils and healing things, the window from the home that was like the past part, and then transitioning. And I just have being care here in the future of like thinking about that embodiment and what it means to hold that as a future vision.
Thank you so much, Denishante, for sharing. Amazing. Anyone else like to share in our last minute for this part of our session today? Okay. Well, thank you for showing up and being present and making time out of your busy schedules to be here today. What an incredible act of care for you to do that for yourselves, and also to be in community is such a deep, deep gift. Thank you so much. You'll see in the slides ways to be in touch with me and connect with me. I highly encourage you to do so. Hope one day we can create together in person, but for now, this was our virtual space together. Thank you so, so much. And I believe, am I passing it back to you, Denise Shante?
Yes. Thank you so much, Yoo-Jin. Our time continues, doesn't end here. Really appreciating all the collages and things that are coming through and where we have been in this moment. We're going to take a pause for about 10 minutes and then come back for us to have a practice-based conversation. Like, what is this practice and what we just experienced? How does it show up in our communities and the relationships outside of this particular room when we go from this experience to the next? So we'll take a 10-minute pause and then return on the hour with Karina.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back from break. I hope that you all were able to take care of yourselves and maybe nourish, have some water. I hope that the collage was a fun experience. I was spending a little bit of my break finishing up with my glue stick. So, welcome back. I am going to be leading you all into another sort of space of reflection. So, what we're going to be doing now is spending a little bit of time with these questions that are on the screen. We're going to invite you all to focus on one of these questions, and we're going to be doing our reflection space in the slide deck. The two questions that we're going to be focused on today are, how could this practice begin to transform your ways of collaborating with the communities that you're accountable to? And what ideas and systems can this practice shift? And then 2, what would it look like to be in an ongoing relationship with and commitment to this practice? So again, this is a space of reflection for you to share out. We are asking that you do so on slides 49 to 53 on that slide deck. And I believe that that was just shared. Yep, the link, the bit.ly link is just shared by Dre in the chat, so you can find it there. And we're going to be spending about 10 minutes reflecting and adding in our reflections onto those slides. We'll be playing some music in that time between, and we'll come back together at 12 past the hour, whatever your hour is. Welcome back, everybody. Go ahead and begin to finish up whatever you're sharing. If you're finishing typing, finish up that last bit. And we're going to come back and do a little bit of a share out all together. So just a reminder about how we kind of operate here. So in the chat, if you're sharing back in the chat, just put the letters or the word read in front of your message. And that lets me know that I can read that out loud. Otherwise, it will just stay in the chat and it will be something that people can read, but it won't be spoken. So again, we're going to have just a few minutes here to kind of come back together and just kind of share out what came up for you in this last little bit. So kind of our reflection questions are ones that we return to again and again in this series. And we do that because we want to really bring this practice forward in our life. So after having some space with these questions, some space to reflect on your own, wanting to open up all the airways, so feel free to respond in chat, feel free to respond verbally, and you can have your camera on or off, however you kind of want to show up and share out. Just sharing how that was for you, what came up. Maybe something surprised you. But remembering the two questions that we just spent some time with are, how could this practice begin to transform your ways of collaborating with the communities you're accountable to? What ideas and systems can it shift? And then what would it look like to be in an ongoing relationship with and commitment to this practice? So go ahead and let's chat. Feel free to share your reflection in the chat or share verbally through audio, video on or off.
We have a raised hand.
Great. I cannot see the hands or the raising, so please go ahead. I do not know whose hand is raised. Sorry, I can't call you specifically.
No worries. I guess that for me, the main part of reflection regarding this exercise is thinking care is very diverse, not just in terms of giving and providing, but also in terms of receiving. So I think that's important when having conversations within the communities about how to receive and what means to receive care according to individual terms.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And feel free to share your name too if you want. I'm not sure if folks right now can see who just shared.
Sorry, yeah, my name is Dana Duarte.
Thank you so much, Dana. Anybody else? And feel free to just jump on in. If you cut me off, I'll just stop talking. I can't see any hands raising or anything like that.
This is Joy. I think mine is on slide 34. Oh, we're back on 34. Okay. So I'm the so I was the one who put like the rainbow powder starburst. And I said for me, it represents facilitating and clarifying points of communal convergence. Who and how can we agree to be together? By considering who is present and how we collectively understand and can practice community and care. And I think this led me to that because I am at a point and I am a facilitator. And so I always say my responsibility is not to lead the space, it's to help the community hear how they want to lead and lead with each other. And yet in a society where a lot of us want liberation, but we don't necessarily know how to practice, people are still often looking to the facilitators to tell them so I can remind us who we said we are, but are often still looking to me as the facilitator to say, hey, this is how you're supposed to be, and this is how we do liberation. And so I think this was a really beautiful visual exercise to continually return to. Like, we do cyclical reminders with our agreements. And so I think this is a really beautiful way to visualize for folks. This is how so-and-so experiences community and care, and this is how you experience community and care. And so when we're looking at what we name as our agreement, we have to be realistic about not what we want, not just what we want. That's a beautiful vision off in the distance, but what can we realistically fulfill for where we are and what we really understand right now. So I appreciate this. This is really helpful for me. I had stopped facilitating things for a while for that reason, because it's been really wearying to figure out how to help community be community and not just say we want community. So I appreciate this. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Joy, for that. I really, really appreciate all of what you just shared out. And I think I love that question lingering, for me at least. I'm going to read out a response shared in the chat by Tamila Lozano. This practice could enhance our ability to improve empathetic listening, but it doesn't relate to just sound. Is opening to all the senses we have as human beings and nature to connect and relate through our senses. Thank you so much. Well, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for today, for your presence, for participating. A lot of what was shared in this last practice space sort of reflection moment is something that I know will continue to come back to. And I think just thinking about what Joy just reflected out, I really definitely want to encourage folks to be with this a bit, to be with how you give and receive care, how that lineage that you carry has shaped you and the way that you practice care in the world. Really grateful to be able to have this space and have a gentle and soft way to hold something that sometimes can be held with a lot of weight, sometimes can feel really heavy. And so I hope that you all were able to, have a little bit of space to integrate towards the end here. Thank you again for everything. I am going to pass this on off to Denise Shante.
Thank you, Karina. Yeah, I love the naming of the integration. That's very much what that section feels like. We are in the space of our closing with some announcements and like what's going on with the network as a whole and also our care pod. So something that's next up, so some of you may have been involved in what helped shape all of what you're experiencing now. We had some listening sessions and we developed some specific pod themes that are guiding our programs. And so the next one, which is number 3, can't believe that we're like already in this mode of transitioning into the 3rd out of 4th theme, is around healing money wounds. That is happening in February with a group based in Toronto. It's the BIPOC Death and Grief Talk group. We recognize that money and all the wounds that it carries in our personal lives and also within the movements and organizations that we're in has a deep connection to grief. And so that is where we will be pivoting and exploring in February. In the care pod specifically, next month, we are going to be in Detroit with our team, connecting for the first time in person to dream towards what else is happening in 2024. And that includes having a hybrid in-person virtual convening during the summer, and some other like awards and ways for communities to be resourced as they do this work. As a network, the Design Justice Network has a seasonal pause. This is from December 18th through January 9th. These are scheduled pauses that happen every season that offers the team the time to rest, reflect, and return to operations in the organization of DJN with more fresh energy and insight. And the last announcement is that, of course, we're going to continue emailing folks who registered all of the links and resources from this space, including Yoo-Jin's workbook and slides, and Yoo-Jin extends like a intellectual credit and note to honor as well, and you'll see that in the email. Next, this was around October, I think before our last pause, where we released our digital care package on grief. We were really responding again to this through line that we've been noticing and what folks have been sharing in our spaces. And so this particular package was curated by our team and our ecosystem of collaborators to hold us through the pause and beyond. And so with everything that we're witnessing as we turn towards Palestine, Sudan, and the Congo, and other peoples impacted by genocide around the world, we find ourselves returning to this specific offering. And inside, you'll find ways to honor and tend to your grief with supportive resources that you can read, watch, listen, explore, practice, and connect. And Dre, I'm glad that there's like resonance with the theme. I'm just seeing some things in the chat. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. And I think Dre also just shared that arena link where the grief package is. And that also connects directly to the arena as a whole, where you'll find those resources, and you'll also find us documenting our collaboration in real time. So as we're creating things and doing things as a team, we add that to our collaborative lineage block. And we also add things that we read or find. And you'll see all of those in our arena. The last thing, throughout our gatherings, we've been recording some of your expressions of care, dreams, and ecosystems, and have been inviting all of you to think about what is care like in this moment, and not even necessarily what it is, but what it may be, to keep it open, to keep it expansive. And so we just want to drop that link to the Care May Be document. People have been adding each session. So feel free to add, open that now if you like, look at it, take a look at it later, hold on to it. It's completely editable and is a living document. So as you leave and think about this practice in this space, what is care, or what may care be in this moment? And that's what we have. Thank you so much. Thank you to Terry and our other interpreter. Thank you to Yoo-Jin. Thank you to all of you, all of our collaborators, Karina, Dre, Victoria, who've been holding this space. We really appreciate it. Yes, you're welcome. We hope that these resources hold you. Thank you all.
Denise, Shante, can I ask a quick question while we're signing off?
Yeah.
Okay. Is my camera on? Can it be on? Okay. So I have been curious. This is my ADHD. I'm really bad with instructions. And I promise you, I have read the website like 4 times. So this wasn't, did you read the website? Y'all are really great with info. How do we get involved with supporting the care pods? Because I did the sessions where it was like, hey, these are the 4 care, like the 4 key areas. And I am struggling to figure out how do I say like, hey, this is one I would like to support or connect with.
Support and connect with in what way?
So, and see, this may have been my confusion. So the second session, I thought we left with like, these are the four, and which ones would you be interested in helping to build out over the next couple of years? But that may have been my misunderstanding about what the actual ask was.
Yeah. So our conversations and times when those sessions were doing just that, like you all being in the space where we could be in a practice of deep listening to understand like what were the topics emerging that we could build programming around. So that was it.
Okay, so I just need to be here.
Yeah, there's nothing
Okay.
else for you to do. There's nothing else for you to do except be present with us. All of your insights and stories and shares, like everything that was offered to us within those 2 sessions, we synthesized and we really went back and read and said, okay, now we're surfacing some of these themes that share some alignment, and this is how we're going to do the next 2 years.
Mhm. Okay, well, that's easy then. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, no, it's easy. The only thing, like we mentioned other things, like if you want to consider what it would be like to be a member of Design Justice Network so that you can participate in things like receiving the care honorarium if you become a part of a local node or a working group in your area. Those are just other ways that this space can expand and touch other areas of the work that you're doing as well.
Okay, I will be in touch about that. One thing at a time. But I will be in touch about that too. Okay. Thank you. That was really great clarification. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you.
Okay. Thanks, y'all. Have a good afternoon.